Good cease.
I would have loved to have played sports with Julian growing up because I would have imagined that like throughout like the entirety of a season, you just have to continue to re-explain the rules.
Sure.
It's like, so
I
this
was
is
just
a
keeping it
football.
light on the sidelines, baby.
It's like, damn it, I thought we were playing fucking field hockey again.
You're just pooping ping pong balls all day.
Dude, I was just on the sideline playing with my tech deck. That's all I was doing.
Shout out, dude. That's a blast from the past.
It is.
Yeah.
I like Tic Tac. Good
That
on
was
you.
the best, dude. I was getting pretty good at that, dude. Doing a couple kick flips.
Kickflips?
I was terrible.
Sure.
Yeah,
Grinding some four stairs.
I would just lose the deck. I would just get molasses on my fingers and just
cheater.
Yeah, double-sided
Cheater,
tape.
dude. No chance, dude. Bro, check out this fun fact I just learned about. This girl who's 13 years old named Riley Stewart. She just got $20,000 for finding a puffy Dorito and putting it up on eBay and putting it up on TikTok, being like, hey, what am I supposed to do with this puffy Dorito? One of those kinds that just has like a bubble in it, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing was a bubble. She put it on her TikTok page, got 11 million views. They were like, put it on eBay, see if anybody will buy it. So she listed it at 99 cents, got 20 G's.
How good's this?
She's
Was it just a
13.
Dorito 3D and she just fibbed it?
Yeah, her dad's fucking pissed because he was like, yo, I bought that chip dip, dude. I bought that bag of chips for you, so you gotta owe me at least like 75%.
How many?
Britney'd?
She's getting
Yeah,
Britney already, dude, from the
over
dad.
20, over 20K.
What is her TikTok following like? Like, does she just have is she a TikTok celebrity and this is why
Not at
people
all.
bid on it?
No, not at all. So like, what happened was it just like started getting attention, like any stupid viral video does, and it like caught the attention of the chief marketing officer of Doritos, and so she was the one that officially like paid it out as like a marketing strategy. Like, oh, well, fucking just pay you $20,000 and make this a reason for people to go buy chips. And she was like, cool with me. Like, great. So it happened, man.
So did Doritos put down 20 G's? Were they
Yes.
like, okay. So
Yeah.
it wasn't some Yahoo at home who's like, hey man, I just made a bunch of money on Erythrium NFTs. Let me just spend it on a Dorito.
Either way, man, either way, that girl just became an entrepreneur overnight. So she's now figuring out ways to make another 20 G's quick. Nothing's going to be cool to her anymore. Like when she gets a job at like as a fucking bag checker at the grocery store, because that's going to be her first job, she's going to be like, what is this $427 paycheck I'm getting every 2 weeks? I got 20 G's for having a puff chip. This is bullshit.
What flavor of Dodo was it?
Just straight up nacho cheesy.
Ah, it's the best, dude.
The best, dude. Nothing's better. Except for I've been eating these lime Flamin' Hots, dude. What do you guys know about the Flamin' Hots? You guys like those?
Are those Doritos?
I just want to jump in the dust, dude, and just like inhale and die.
What are the
God, man.
settle down.
So when you guys would like laugh at the fact that it was a joke,
What
perverts?
But those are Cheetos, Jules.
No, they have them on Doritos now too, dude. Flamin' Hots. What are you talking about, dude?
They make everything in Flamin' Hot now.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Everything's a Flamin' Hot.
Is Cheeto and Dorito made by the same company?
I don't know. Lay's?
Are they both like Nabisco products?
Nabisco or Lay's?
I think it'd be Nabisco because you can't. I'm guarantee they have a patent on Flamin' Hot. Whatever the combination of poisonous deliciousness is.
They just ganked them from Takis, I think, right? Wasn't that kind of what they did?
I don't know. Have you guys tried those? Have you guys tried those Doritos heart shell tacos from Taco Bell?
Mm-mm.
They have like
I haven't been to Taco Bell in 12 years.
Oh, dude, it's good.
Is it?
It's been a minute since I had one, but I think it was Laura on my like 30th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Yo, I don't know." We all woke. I was up way earlier than I should have been, and she's like, "Hey, let's go to Taco Bell. There's one down the way from here." And she's like, "Have you tried those Doritos Locos tacos yet? It's like a hard shell taco, but the hard shell is a Dorito chip."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Nice.
Blew your mind.
That sounds pretty. I mean, that does sound pretty good.
Cooler Ranch shell. Ooh, baby.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, dude.
I used to hate on the Cooler Ranches. I'm okay with them now.
That was
That's good. That's good to know.
That was my entry point into that Doritos
Really?
game was first. Yeah, the Cooler
You
Ranch.
just thought the blue bagger was like the thing. You just didn't even know about the red bagger.
I feel like they released that flavor when I was just getting into like the chip game. Right? You don't
Come on,
really
dude. Those chips were
No,
released
they've been-
way before you were born.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were white. They used to be like a white bag, like white and red, and like kind of poppy.
Mm.
Like they'd pop, like the chip would pop out of the bag. It was like white. Did you get it?
Pop.
He's just emphasizing everything, really. Blue bagger,
Yeah.
red bagger, popping,
remember-
chip popping.
You know what I had at the Gorge this past weekend?
What'd you have?
Got back from the show. Shout out to Dave Matthews Band and the incredibleness of their situation. I'll tell the story just for anybody who's not aware of it. The day of their 3-night stint at
First day of.
the Gorge Amphitheater. Yeah, the first day of the Gorge Amphitheater. They've been playing that for 25 years. This last show that they just played was their 25th year anniversary of doing Labor Day at
Really?
the Gorge.
Wow. That's awesome.
45,000, somewhere in that ballpark of people. 3 days in a row, sold it out every day for the
In
last
like
25
13
years.
minutes.
The first day of the 25th year anniversary was this year. The bass player, Stefan Lassard, and the drummer, Carter Buford, both tested positive for COVID. That morning, they completely redo the set list, and they pulled off a full weekend of like 3-hour
It
shows.
wasn't even that morning. It was like 2:30 p.m.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they must have known that morning, and they must have started adjusting at that point. But like the fact that they were just, no, we're not going to cancel these shows. We're going to pop up, and we're just going to. The Buddy, the keyboard player, like halfway through the set, jumped on the drums, played the rest of the show on the drums. Tony Hall, who's in Dumpsta Funk, which was the first of 3, he came up and played bass. Like, they're such incredible musicians, and they put on a killer show
Yeah,
that
they just threw it together.
Were
entire
you
audience
pissed they
is
didn't
like,
ask you to play?
no, I'm
No, they
terrified.
kicked us out as soon as our set was done. They were like, "No catering for you. Get out."
Get out of here, no Sonny Pops.
So hold on. They just like they substituted other players. Then they didn't.
They like
lose
just
those
switched.
players.
Like half the set, they played just Dave and Tim Reynolds acoustic, which is a thing that the audience really likes. They used to tour like that a little bit.
What does Dave Reynolds do?
Tim Reynolds plays
Tim
guitar.
Reynolds.
So it's just 2 acoustic guitars. But the songs are all written on Dave's acoustic guitar. And he's such a rhythmic guitar player that it actually does have like a pulse,
Yeah.
which is super cool. And it works in that format. But to me, it was just like Dave still came up before we went on and introduced us. And he was cool as a cucumber. He's just like, hey, guys, how you going? You know, I'm fucking Dave. I'm a billionaire. I'm Dave Matthews. You know, I keep it real. Like, I would be panicking. I would be in my bus, huddled in a corner.
Like improv 2-hour set.
Yeah, like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'm just going to do 2 hours, 2.5 hours, not like I'm used to.
Yeah.
So, anyways, great show.
No, you wouldn't have, man. You would have done it. You would have done something.
We would have pulled it off, but I'm just trying to praise that squad because they're a
that's
good
pretty
squad
cool.
and they do good
awful.
stuff.
And at the level that they did it, pulled it off was pretty righteous.
Yeah, being professional musicians and knowing like having some wherewithal around what pulling something like that off must take. How many people do you think were involved in that, in like the decisions going on with that whole thing to make that happen appropriately?
Oh, at that size?
Enjoyable for people, yeah.
Well, when it comes to the music, it's just the musicians. The music is like, definitely management, sometimes label, but mostly management will like have an idea and they'll voice that idea. Like that's why you hire management. But the music is sacred ground to the musicians.
Sure.
So whatever decisions are made about the music is done so by the musicians. It might be informed by an agent or a manager or, so on and so forth. But like what happens on stage happens between the musicians, at least that's how I would do it.
No, for sure.
And I would imagine Dave's the same way. Like I can't imagine Corin Capshaw's calling Dave, like, you should play Ants Marching in F sharp, like that really hit about 5 songs in, He's not making those calls. So that's definitely Dave and like the band members.
Mhm.
It was cool.
Is there
Rashawn, who plays trumpet, had a super cool post at the end of the 3-day stint that was just like, I'm writing this, I'm in tears. I can't believe we pulled this off. Like, just how stressful that must have been for them. Like, I can't imagine. First of all, the gravity of canceling those shows. Like, morning of, 40,000 people are already there with their campers. They've bought, and the majority of the people who come to that weekend, they fly from all over the place. They're coming from Florida, from Michigan. They're coming from, well, probably not coming from Europe at this point, but like they come from all over the globe and travel to be in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, dude. The gorge is not like, hey, okay, I guess
destination.
the show was canceled. We're 20 minutes away from Chicago O'Hare. It's gonna be fine. No, you're like 3 hours away from the closest airport. It's gonna get you anywhere.
Yeah.
So the gravity of the decision, that it must have crossed their minds. Must have crossed their minds and be like, we can't do these shows. We're not gonna. We don't. Carter Buford is like the spine of that squad.
He is, yeah.
Like,
and he's a star in itself, anyways.
he's a star, dude. He's like one of the most incredible drummers ever. And the pairing of Dave Matthews and Carter Buford has allowed the songs that Dave has written, which are, I mean, nobody writes songs like Dave Matthews. Like, say what you will about his music, he pioneered a way to write tunes. And if it wasn't for Carter's ability on the drums, his musicality on the drums,
brilliant,
it wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't be the same. And so Carter just is like, I'm out. That morning, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I don't know the timeline. I remember I was on stage when I saw them pulling his drums apart and taking all the bass stuff away, and I was like, "What's happening?"
Yeah. So I get a not a text. Bear's in the room with us.
Yeah.
And either Bear got a text from you or Bear had talked to you or something.
I called Bear.
Okay. So he comes into the green room and he's like, "You guys, this is hilarious." So every time you play a gig, there's what's called local hands, which are people who live in the area. They're hired by the union and they come just help move drums or, push things on stage, push things off stage, but they're not a part of the touring squad.
Yeah.
So the message somehow relayed from Bear to me, or
it was a game of telephone between everybody.
It was a game of telephone. Bear goes, the local hands just accidentally struck all of Carter Buford's drums.
Yeah.
Which
that is not what happened.
It's not what happened.
And that would be unprecedented. They'd all be fired.
Exactly.
Well, it just wasn't accidental. It happened, but it just didn't happen accidentally. What you're saying.
I was on deck trying to talk to Dave's stage manager about something, and I saw him just scrambling with a couple other guys from Dave's squad, including like the monitor guy who normally wouldn't be touching background stuff. He's in charge of like the ears for the musicians, what music they hear. Just striking frantically these drums, just putting them down. And then I saw the bass techs come up and take all the bass stuff down. I'm just standing there like, this is a weird thing to reset.
Right.
Like I was thinking, I was like, oh, maybe they needed the room for something and blah, 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 blah. It's a weird thing to have happen. But Bear interpreted it as the local hands did that, which would be just, again, catastrophic failure.
Right. Like guillotine.
They would have gone home.
They would have just taken a hang glider and just hang glid them off the back of the stage into the Columbia River.
At the gorge.
But come to find out, it was because at that point they knew, like, oh, well, we can't. Like,
they're not going to be here.
They're not going to be here, so let's get rid of their stuff. It was so amazing to be able to witness that.
There's a lot of people involved in that pulling off. Then, rather than just musicians. Like obviously, like the decisions might be made by the musicians, but then like to actually execute the decisions, it still takes a village, right? To like put a new set list together, like figure out all these things. It's not just Dave like sitting in his like trailer, just like, okay, like let me do this whole thing myself.
Well, he probably was, but they were definitely just like standing by to scramble because that changes the video, that changes definitely the lighting. Yeah. So all those guys were reprogramming their set show to whatever set it was going to be. Wow. They're on the fly waiting to know what songs are going to be, and then they're just like scrambling to reprogram lights and positions and spots.
Well, yeah, what's interesting about that is with a band like Dave Matthews, they never do the same set list.
No, but they probably have a set list of songs
right, of programs
that they give because they'll have to patch those programs in to run them.
Right, yeah.
So when it's going to be different positions on stage or different things like that, it's definitely a big squad of people trying to coordinate on the fly. Like, how do we do our jobs to enhance this show as well?
Yeah, just like the people behind the scenes, like that are doing the lights and stuff, have to change that whole entire program and everything, all the sound, everything has to be changed.
Yeah, it's wild. It was just super cool to
But they're pros.
witness like people of that caliber, right? Like, oh, there's a whole nother level. There's many levels,
yeah.
and you guys are at the top level.
And he's had the same crew notoriously forever too, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
he's like kept the camp, which I think says a lot about him.
He's a good dude, man. Like, just literally every natural disaster, that guy's throwing together some sort of nonprofit concert with the biggest names in the entertainment industry. He's got Farm Aid. He's like, not single-handedly, but played a huge part in saving the rhinos.
Right.
Like, a gigantic amount of money via his channels has been spent trying to keep rhinoceroses from being extinct.
I think he lives relatively humble too. I mean, he was like my neighbor in Wallingford.
Lives in Wallingford. I saw him down at Ding Dong Donuts, or what's the name of that donut shop down there in Wallingford?
I don't know.
O's Donuts or
Ding Dong Donuts.
Proper legend.
Yeah.
Like, proper, not just because of his musical career and the path that band paved, but still looks you in the eyes when he talks to you, like, remembers you when he sees you multiple times, is cool to everybody, seemingly super humble too. Like, he's one of those cats that you you talk to and hang around, and you get a sense that, like, oh, he's not super comfortable in this position. Yeah,
but he's doing it.
But he's doing it as best you possibly can. Yeah.
Well, like you said too earlier, was introducing you, like an hour and a half before he has to go on stage and perform for 2.5 hours. It's cool as a cucumber, like you said, dude. He was just like hanging out.
Yeah, no problem.
Like, what's up? Go have a great set, guys. Good to see you. Glad to have you.
Total stuff.
I mean, I would have been sweating in places I didn't know I had.
Yeah, I just would have been drenched.
Yeah.
And that's the time, right?
What is that?
That's the time. What's that?
You're not feeling that? Like thuds?
Oh, yeah, I am feeling that. I don't know, somebody's cleaning downstairs or something.
Okay. I'm going through the floor, dude.
Floor's collapsing. Wouldn't that be a viral moment? Steve just disappears through the floorboards.
Oh, Dan's got L&I, dude.
Oh, my God. Like, so do we keep it going? Or?
Yes.
Please. All right, Ellen. So, what's up, dude?
I break through the floor. If Julian passes out, we're going to keep it going. You have to keep it going.
Yes. Okay.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome that you guys get to work with pros like that. You think, it's a shallow question, but do you think that, like, in a situation like that, I mean, those guys are making so much money. Do you think that the two that got COVID would get paid for a gig like that?
Yes.
If they had to just cancel out? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like,
they get paid.
Those guys aren't on any sort of like per gig thing.
No, they're cut into it.
At that size of band, everybody within that band is on salary.
They should probably get paid more because it's just like, I want to do the fucking show. Like, I'm not like relieved that I don't get to do the show and not get paid. Like,
they don't get no craft services, bro. They ain't getting no drink tickets. Come on.
Well, you started this whole thing by talking about what you had while you were at the Gorge, because you're talking about Doritos and all your tasty Taco Bell.
What did you have?
Yeah. So after the show, I get back to the hotel and I'm starving. Like, I don't like to eat before I sing, because I mean, in that show too, I was terrified. I haven't sang in front of people, like real, like crowds with a full band for 2 years. And so I was just nervous and anxious and like afraid that my voice wasn't going to hold up, all the things that go through your head.
Did it?
I didn't, it held up. Yeah. But I didn't have like, I don't really get the upper register of my voice until I'm like 2.5, 3 weeks into a tour.
Yeah.
It's like repetition. Stretching. I have to like lose my voice. I have to lose my voice kind of, or lose that upper register and then gain it back.
Yeah.
And then I'm typically good for like forever. As long as we just don't stop touring, I'm usually pretty good after that moment. But sure enough, like band comes here, we have like 3 days to rehearse, so we're doing like 8-hour days. I'm singing hard the whole time, so my voice did hold out, but I didn't have I sang 80% of what I know I can or what I'm capable of singing. But anyways, got back to the hotel, starving. We're in Moses Lake, staying at a Ramada, and they have every kind of fast food ever. Went to Wendy's, bro. Wendy's,
they don't cut corners.
Wendy's is
fucks.
up there.
Yeah, Wendy's fucks.
I was back in my hotel room, just tears flowing from my face. Eating a double Wendy's bacon blaster. It was I was very surprised. I was like, this is leagues above other fast food burger joints besides Five Guys. Shout out and In and Out.
Those square patties too, huh? They got those square.
It was
patties.
good. It felt like I was eating real meat. I eat a cheeseburger from McDonald's. I'm like, this is probably tofu.
Yeah, this is a yoga mat.
This isn't what they're advertising it as. But Wendy's, I was like, there might be some nutritional value to this meal right here. This might be actual potato.
I don't think you're right.
I know.
I haven't been to Wendy's in so long, but
let's go.
I want to agree with
press
you.
Pause, Jules. We're gonna go to old Wendy Bendy's and get some.
Okay, cool. Let's hear that.
Wendy's around here.
There's one by the Home Depot by my house.
Oh, never mind. There's one like an exit down.
Well, what are you talking about, dude?
Why didn't you tell me? Come on, dude.
Let's get some DoorDash.
It's on the other side of the freeway.
Nah, dude, you guys can't do that. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you guys got to play and it turned out good. And you guys thrusted it up, dude. Thrusted it up. You feel like you can go do anything now?
No, you know what I don't feel like I'm capable of doing is a tour without at least 5 people in my camp getting COVID.
You got a backup plan?
The backup plan? Yeah, just don't test anybody.
Oh, shit.
Fucking oath.
No, I mean, this is what this is. Let me give you the protocol of what we went through at this show. So, you get on site. You have to prove vaccination or a negative COVID test. Then, so it's different for each touring camp, right? So, the venues, I think, they're restricted by the local law. Now, obviously, the state of Washington, we only have a mask mandate right now. The Gorge, funny enough, is in my dad's county. So my dad's county commissioner right now. So their county would actually set the regulatory process of what the venue would do. Unless it comes down from Live Nation, because I think that's a Live Nation venue.
Yeah.
So Live Nation might set specific boundaries, but each touring posse sets different regulations based upon their own personal regard.
Yeah.
So Dave's COVID situation is everybody who comes to the show has to show proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test that's been taken within 48 hours. I think it's great. I think it's a great way to go about it. To get backstage, you couldn't be backstage without being vaccinated.
Yeah.
And then upon arrival, you had to get tested. So you had to get tested. You showed proof of vaccination. Then after that, in order to get let backstage, you had to get a negative COVID test. Those COVID tests are $110 each. They're not cheap. And they just had buckets of them back there.
Yeah. Cool.
2 people in the band. Not just the fucking merch person.
Right.
2 people in the band. Both vaccinated. I don't know which vaccination they got.
Yeah.
Both got it.
And they were keeping it close to the chest too, as far as the safety protocols. They were on it. It wasn't like this was
right. It wasn't
a fluke thing. It was this is how the fuck did this happen? Exactly.
This is it felt like you were going into the Pentagon.
I don't know. Maybe
I've never been to the Pentagon, but the security to get backstage was way gnarlier than
it tight,
any airport I've been to.
I couldn't come back there and had some cheats.
Hell no, bro.
Come on, dude.
No
I'm trying to
way.
chest bump fucking D maths.
Not in your dusty little hot, fiery Cheeto fingers ain't getting
Yeah.
backstage.
Come on, bro. I'm trying to give chest bumps to everybody.
But
Everybody
I'm like,
wants them.
yeah, and we're all outside. Now, granted, if you're touring around the country, you're not going to tell a grown-ass man what to do, right? Like if you're the manager of or the agent of Dave Matthews, you're not going to call Carter Buford and be like, hey, man, we got a Bluetooth tracker on you, and we know you went to Planet Fitness yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I'm sure on off days, there's not really much you can do about what your band members are doing. But like at the show, the security was incredible. I was dumbfounded by not only how efficient it was, but also just like how many layers they went through to make sure nobody back there was bringing any of that fungus in.
Yeah.
And still those two guys caught it.
Wow, that sucks.
I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Wow.
We're about to announce a tour. I'm thinking we'll announce it before this episode comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like we're going
to see what happens.
We're going to see what happens. Essentially, like I'm going to just wrap myself in saran wrap.
Right.
Like
And
the
I'm going
kid
to take
from, Little
Steve's
Giants,
CPAP
dude.
machine.
No, dude, I need it.
How about you use it when you're not using it?
Gross.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see how the tour that we go on this winter is gonna size up, because it's just, what are you gonna do? It's impossible. Like on off days, I can't go, hey Steve, like I know we're in Santa Barbara playing a show. You can't see your family.
Right.
Like how am I gonna do that?
Yeah.
And you not hate me every morning?
Well, that's a given anyways.
Well, yeah, but I don't understand how you influence the morale of a touring posse positively, which is my job.
Yeah.
Like that's beyond just showing up each night and playing the music as best as I possibly can. My second obligation as a band leader or whatever is to make sure that everybody's having a good time, because if nobody's happy, then I'm miserable.
Right.
But how do you instill like, hey, we're gonna have fun on this tour when literally you can't leave?
Yeah.
You can't leave the little bubble van that we have. You go straight to your hotel room. You don't leave. You sanitize every DoorDash deal that you get to the like. What are we gonna do?
I don't know.
And
We're
you
going
guys
to
are
find
gonna have
out.
to get Dungeons and Dragons, dude, and just start learning how to fucking play games real nicely with each other.
We can bring it back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna be a good call. Games,
Games.
Monopoly, Twister.
We're going to see. I mean, all these other acts right now are kind of doing testing the water, I think, for the touring world, because there's a lot of speculation out there right now anyways. So they're testing it out, and I definitely think we'd be more vulnerable. Well, I guess I don't know. Than a big business like Dave Matthews Band, because they all each have their own bus, and you know they can definitely quarantine on the road if they want to. But something went wrong apparently.
Well,
Like for us, we're just like in a room with 2,000 people.
yeah, I'm not gonna sell that many tickets. Let's be
Well,
real.
okay, well, yeah,
I mean, the difference is though is
Maybe.
that like on off days they're staying in hotels. It'd be one thing if they were like legitimately you're on the bus
Sure.
or you're off the bus.
Sure.
You know, but they're staying in hotels on off days,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hotels aren't doing the
Doing none of that,
protocol,
yeah.
right? But also too, it's just like you're gonna catch it. That's like kind of
it's just a sad thought.
it is.
But I mean, you might be right, but it's a bummer to think.
It's a bummer
You
to
gotta
think,
figure-
but it's
you
like, I
gotta-
just don't understand how, like, I guess going through that experience and seeing how tight they were,
Yeah,
and
and
then
still get exposure to two main people.
to the two guys that you're like, yeah, anybody, but literally the only worst person to get it would have been Dave.
Yeah,
And
Dude, if our friend Tyler Davis taught us anything, man, it's getting 19 backup plans, dude. Gotta have a backup for your backup.
right, but
Yeah.
like if I get it and I test positive,
we're flying Jules out to
There's
sing the
no-
show.
I'm
There's
coming,
no
dude.
backup.
That's the,
Oh, you're looking at him.
you just can you see me, dude? Have you seen me?
Literally, we've been doing a podcast together for a year and a half now.
I can do it. All right.
We'll fly Jules in as the ringer.
I've been waiting. Dude,
We're just going to play
this
your
moment.
vocal track and have Jules just dance around
Jules
to
is
it.
going to show up to our shows with a super soaker full of COVID-19 just so he can have a sit-in.
Good God.
They don't shoot like that.
What was the original How Good's This that we just got popping on?
The puffy Dorito, dude.
Oh, the
20K.
Puff Dodos, dude.
Yeah.
20K, but I got a better
for
one,
a
dude.
Dodo.
Took 25 minutes for you to tell us about Wendy's, you dipshit.
I know.
No, it was cool. We need to know about the Dave Matthews Show, man. That's cool stuff. That's really cool. If you guys are passing by Denver, try to bash one of your taillights out, because if you do, check this out. Advanced Auto Parts just partnered with the Denver police to give them $25,000 worth of gift cards so that they can give out gift cards instead of tickets to their people.
No way.
Pretty good, right?
Wait.
How good's this?
How good's this?
That's amazing.
Hold
Yeah.
on, back up. You're telling me that Advanced Auto Parts, the auto parts store,
Mhm.
gave the Denver police 25 grand worth of gift certificates.
Yeah.
So now
Hand
is it,
out to people that have like operational problems with their cars when they're putting them
Oh,
on.
that's so
Yeah,
cool.
like, yo, you have a broken headlight. Here's not
Yeah.
a fix-it ticket.
right.
Here's money to go fix it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Just
so
like
awesome.
inspires you to go get it and just like encourages you and helps you do it.
Way to go, Advanced
Yeah,
Auto
shout
Parts.
out
store,
to
right?
Advanced Auto.
I
So
need
smash
to.
a light out in your Sprinter when you're on the road out in good old Denby.
Crazy thing about the Sprint, that was just turn signals went out yesterday.
Bad tabs. Well, don't get
Gone,
them fixed,
dude.
dude.
I told you were supposed to move to Denver.
We got to go get some fuses at old Advanced Auto Parts
Isn't
today.
that cool, man? Isn't that cool? Isn't that nice?
That's super cool, man. I'm trying
love
to
that.
understand is that just like it's got to be some sort of promotional marketing thing, because like
I mean, I think
what's
it's
going to
just
be the
great
benefit?
publicity for
Yeah,
Well, what do
both.
you mean what's going to be the benefit? It's going to make community
understand.
morale boosted.
I understand.
And
I
it's also
understand
gonna,
what
like-
the social benefits are of that, but like, what's the pitch in the Advanced Auto Parts meeting? Like, hey, this is going to be really good for marketing purposes, right? Because
Well, probably
obviously you found out about it. You don't live anywhere
Yeah.
near Colorado,
not even close.
so it was a good piece of marketing strategy.
I think it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
They're on the
great
daily
marketing
news, dude.
strategy.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys. We're on the same page here. I'm just curious what's the journey
Catches.
Customers for life.
to get there.
Customers for life, dude. Advanced Auto Parts, dude. I need a ratchet. I don't know
You go there
anything
for your
about
windshield
cars.
wipers, like you just start going there because you're like, that's
Yeah.
a really cool thing.
Have you
Yeah,
ever
like, I
changed
didn't
it?
have a place. I didn't have a place to go get my auto parts from, but now I definitely will go to Advanced Auto Parts if I ever I'll search out at Advanced Auto Parts instead of going to a Les Schwab.
Les Schwab is
Fuck
just
Les
for
Schwab.
tires, pimp. You ain't gonna catch.
well.
You're not gonna get nothing at Les Schwab, dude.
That's what I would have done. And I would have been wrong.
Do you have you ever changed a flat tire, Jules?
Yeah. I'm not that stupid, dude. I got it. I can do it.
I
Jacked
one
up the
time in Seattle was coming over the Ballard Bridge. You know, the Ballard. I think it's the Ballard Bridge. I'm in my blue 40 Econoline van, first touring vehicle.
dude.
R.I.P.
I'd rest in peace.
And as the bridge is coming down, the side of the bridge, like the right hand shoulder, is like a tiny little side. It's not a sidewalk, but it's like where a sidewalk would be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only about it's about a foot wide, but it's 2.5 feet up in the air. So I'm coming down the bridge, and like the person in front of me brakes super hard, and sure enough, like I got tires that have been on that rig for 10 years, no traction whatsoever. Slam on the brakes. I'm gonna hit this person, so I swerve to the right, hop up onto that median. Bro, I straight Tony Hawk truck grinded down this high centered. So my wheels on either
Really?
side are 5 inches off the ground. I can't go anywhere. I'm stuck on the thing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm panicking. I think I'm with my girlfriend at the time. This guy, bless his heart, sees the wreck, brings he's got a garage right next door, brings his forklift out of his garage to my rig and forklifts the van off of the median.
Wow.
Angel. He
Really?
was a little- yeah, and I was parked.
Wow.
I was parked right next to a Les Schwab. Rolled that thing in there. Got some new tires, baby.
Wow.
Damn, dude. That's
Well, that
a
worked out.
stroke of luck.
It was a stroke of luck. I don't think the van recovered after that though.
I don't have luck like
messed
that.
up quite underneath the frame of
Yeah.
that rig. Never really recovered.
You guys ever run out of gas? Just stuck?
Yeah, I ran out of gas one time, but it's because my mercury switch and my, what do you call it? The gas meter? What do you call the thing?
Oh, it's not odometer. It's
Gas
the
gauge?
odometer.
No, odometer is the mileage, isn't it? Yeah, the
Mileage.
gas gauge,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Gasometer. Didn't work in the car for like 5 years. It was that old white cargo van that I had.
Yeah.
It like didn't work for years, so I was due at one point to just run out of gas. But it was cool. I just pushed it into a gas station.
We didn't run out. I've never ran out
Nice.
of. Well, I'm sure I have ran out of gas, but no funny stories that I remember from running out of gas. But at one point was on tour with Bear, just me and Bear, and the window, the windshield wasn't sealed properly, and so there was water like kind of coming through, and it would really pour. And we had a particularly heavy rain the night before, and water was coming through into the steering column. And so as we were driving, whenever Bear would brake, the horn would go off. Like somehow the wires got like shorted out or something. And so every time he would brake, and then we're literally, I think we're in Cleveland, right outside of the arena.
I heard it was Columbus.
Was it Columbus? Somewhere in Ohio. Right outside of the arena. We're just trying to figure out like where the backstage parking is so we can get in and load our stuff. We're at a stoplight. Bear's panicking. Poor Bear. He's so sweet and like he doesn't want to stand out in a crowd ever. Horn just shorts out, starts going off. Bro, I'm in the passenger seat.
Ooh, shut up.
Bear, like people are looking at him. Bear's got his hands up like this. He's like, I don't know. First of all, I'm in tears.
Yeah, of
I
course.
can't handle myself. I'm laughing
I'd be shitting
so
myself.
hard.
Oh,
As
God.
I'm opening up my phone to try and figure out like where the horn fuse is so I can, stop the horn. It was going on for like 15 minutes, dude. Swear to God, we pulled to the side of the road. It's still finally we found the cable. Just ended up cutting the cable.
Yeah, cut the
Oh,
cable.
yeah.
And still don't have a horn in the old Sprinty Sprint.
No horn.
To this day.
Oh, really?
But,
Oh, yeah.
oh,
You
it was
don't,
the
huh? That's why.
funniest, dude. I'm telling you, he was so stressed out.
Oh my God.
He
Bear,
was
dude.
Poor Bear, dude.
so upset, dude. It was
His worst nightmare is that kind of embarrassment.
that kind of attention. Yeah, he don't like that. He's not stoked on attention.
I think it's safe to say that none of us would be pretty thrilled with that kind of attention. but coming from Bear, that's awful.
Yeah, I was pumped. I was
I
like,
would have
this-
been on the
this is
floor laughing.
Best thing that's
Yeah.
ever happened to me.
That's awesome, dude. Well, you could have been in Denver and gotten some tickets for some free air horn tutorials
I wonder-
or whatever they give you.
I wonder if any cops are just going to be at like family reunions, just handing those out. Just like, hey man, I got all these.
Hey, you got these.
I got these.
Got these off the
There's a
precinct.
They don't work at Les Schwab.
Yeah, just keep them all for themselves.
Hey, can I
Just go
cash?
in.
Can I cash these in?
Yeah. They take these at the casino.
Yikes.
I'm trying to get
Take
some
these
Nest
to-
quick.
Damn, dude.
Kind of like
You
that.
guys
You ever
have-
watch that? You ever watch that McMillions documentary where the I think it was a police officer like figured out
He was awesome.
the McDonald's sweepstakes thing and was just handing out Park Place at like
Yeah.
family
To his
reunions.
cousins and stuff. Yeah.
That guy was the best part of that whole entire documentary. Man.
He was.
He's so funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I've had so many car issues, man. So I used to not have windshield wipers on my Econoline van. I had the same van as you, Alan.
That's smart in the
but I had-
PNW.
What's that?
That's smart to do in
It's
a
so,
PNW.
dude, it was so stupid.
It doesn't rain
But
in
I
Seattle.
remember, yeah, I had windshield wipers, but they just didn't work, and I didn't get it fixed.
Oh, okay.
And I also had 2 gas tanks, and it was like $4.97 per gallon for gas back then.
Oh my god!
And so unless I had like my dad's Chevron credit card, I was putting like $10 in, which would like literally start the engine. And the windshield wipers were out, and I used to have to drive to Steph's parents' restaurant out in Redmond, and I have to take the freeway to get out there in this van. And it was always raining, obviously, and I could never see because like it's just raining. So I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Rain-X on because apparently that just like repels water off your windshield.
Uh-huh.
So I put it on my windshield. I just rubbed a nice coat on top of it, and all it did was just like bring the water on to the windshield and just like make it this gigantic like magnifying glass that just became like, it made my depth perception so off, and I was just like, I couldn't see anything. And one time I would call all the time just to be like, hey, like I'm stopped on a shoulder because I can't see, I don't have windshield wipers and it's raining really hard. And they'd be like, Julian, get some windshield wipers. I'm like, I don't make enough money at this place to get them. Spending it all on fucking weed and toasted cheesers. And one time my gas tank emptied at the same time. So like, not only was I just stuck in the rain, my windshield wipers didn't work, but my gas tank stopped as well. And I was like 4 miles from a gas station.
Oh.
And I just had to walk the whole entire way because nobody was coming to pick me up. It was the worst, dude. It was so awful, and it just I just like chalked it up to being like a situation with Alan, where it was like when I went to Capitol Records and my car blew. It was just like, well, this is just the shit that happens to me.
Yeah,
Happens to me.
yeah.
Oh darn!
worst.
When you could have just gone to Advanced Auto Parts like
I know,
3
dude.
years earlier and just bought 2 windshield wipers for $4
Seriously,
and replaced
didn't
it.
know.
get ahead of these things.
Yeah, I remember it growing up how like ridiculous I used to have this problem with like calling people on the phone. I would always ask my mom to do it. You know, like if I had to call like my youth leader or something and be like, "Hey, can I?" Be like, "Mom, can you just do it for me?" I just had these weird tics where I just didn't want to
Just
talk to
angry
people.
at her. Can you just do it for me?
Yeah,
Like
just
trying to get out of stuff.
not even get out of stuff. It was just like I
No.
didn't like talking to adults. And so I would, like, I was afraid of them or something. I don't know what the anxiety was. But I remember, like, now as an adult, I'm like, that was so dumb. Like, I can't believe how dumb I was. Same thing with Julian's windshield wipers. Like, I'm sure you look back on that and you're just like, I can't believe that I was, like, over 3 years old and just that dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the same issue where I was like, I don't want to call. Like, I remember my mom and dad always just being like, just call the dentist and like set up your appointment. I'm like, I'm 13 years old. They're like, yeah, set up an appointment. I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. Like, just call them and do it. So yeah, I mean, I was probably like 17 when I was getting into all this trouble with my car. And yeah, I didn't even like have the wherewithal to be like, I'm just going to call anybody, even a friend. I just felt stupid. I was like, oh, whatever, man. I'm just gonna get out of my car and walk. Probably even lock my van.
It's like it's easier just to go through the suffering than it is to appear stupid or
Admit to
something.
it.
I don't
Yeah.
know
To being
what it.
dumb, yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like you have too much
that
pride, or
sucks.
I remember just back like being in my teens or even too like when we were first living together, you know, and like I was convinced that I was a musician before I was actually a musician. You know, I was just like, I would tell people, like,
I was convinced you were a
I'm a
musician.
musician.
like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a musician.
Yeah.
But I couldn't pay my rent. Like I couldn't
Right.
feed myself. I didn't
Yeah.
make any money playing
When you
music
told people you were a musician, that's exactly what they thought.
that I couldn't feed myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford shit.
But I had the pride. Like somehow I had convinced myself in that craziness of reality that like I was a musician, and so that's why I couldn't go get a job. Because
Right.
if I would have got another job, then I wouldn't have been a musician anymore.
Right.
Like it was like such this social thing where like when I was at these house parties with like 10 people at them,
Yeah.
I needed to make sure they all knew that I was a musician,
Yeah.
because if I went to go get an actual job like slinging coffee or anything, that would actually pay for my life, then I would be that then.
It's like that you're afraid they're going to catch you like slinging popcorn at the AMC or something. Be like, oh, you said he was a musician.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's definitely not a musician. Like, what? I mean, I totally understand it. Nowadays, if I had to like, which, you know, I'm fucking skating on thin ice the last 2 years, like go get a real job.
What would you do?
Theoretically, in my brain, I'm like, it totally makes sense. Like, you need money. You have a family to provide for. There's no shame in just going to get a job so you can earn enough money to live. But the pride has been built up so much by, oh, I'm a musician, right? Or
it's like you'd no longer be who you are if you had to go get a job, as far as like the stake you put in your pride of what you do. Like, I'm a musician. That's how I survive.
Literally, yeah. But nobody would care.
Yeah.
The only person that would care would be me.
Right. I
agree. Probably get a nice job giving some people some suggestions at Best Buy. One of those front desk clerks.
Dude,
I get for you?
I could do plenty of things. It'd be hard for me to work for anybody. I think I've been thinking about that as of recent. Like, yeah. I do well with authority. Like, I do okay in job situations where people are like, this is what I need you to do. I'd be like, I can do that. No problem. But, I've just worked for myself for so long that I don't know if I could go out and like work underneath somebody. Mm-hmm. I guess it depends on the job, but I also see, man, I know quite a few people who are in like gigantic companies, huge companies that generate millions of dollars a year. And the amount of frustration that I see them go through with just like the smallest tasks of like, okay, well, hey guys, I'm thinking that we're going to use green gaff tape on site. And they literally have to go through 150.
Let's make sure that can get approved. Yeah.
You got to get it approved by 90 people.
Right.
In order to just do the stupidest of tasks. And that's seemingly how the corporate structure, I mean, I'm sure it doesn't work like that in every situation, but like I would imagine most corporate situations are like that. Like, okay, well, I got to talk to Tommy who's above me, and Tommy's got to talk to Cindy who's above him, and Cindy's got to talk to Jake, and then 12 people later, you finally get to the guy who's like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I don't fucking care.
It's not done yet?
Yeah, it's not finished yet? You're wasting all this time? It's like, you reprimanded me last time for using green gaff, you know?
Do you think you'd get a new sense of respect for like the working class people by going back to work in that capacity?
Oh, of course, yeah. Of course. I've gone out whilst a few times I would go and help Paul Corbett like do, he would like lay a floor and put like, I'd work the whole day with him, 7-8 hours or whatever it was. Because my job isn't physical at all. I mean, the hour on stage that I'm each night, that's physical, but it's
not manual labor.
It's not manual labor. Like, there's people who actually work really hard to make a living. And I'm not saying I don't work hard, because I think I do work hard at the thing I do, but it's not manual labor. It's not hard work, if that makes sense. It's difficult work. To like be good at and to rise above and to stay on top and to keep people interested, and it's really tough, I think, on my psyche, right? Like, if I was a landscaper, I don't think that would really like mess me up in my head as much as being a musician does.
No,
unless you wanted to be a musician and you weren't being it so that you could be a landscaper.
Well, I'm saying step out of this reality into a reality where all I wanted to do was landscape. I don't think that it would mess me up like music does. Like, music somehow messes with my psyche.
Yeah, of course.
So much.
People find it meditative to be in that kind of, I mean, maybe it's an excuse, but I think it's true. The monotony of the work of just like building a brick wall, it's like Zen for some people.
Oh, I totally get that.
Like painting a house, you're just like in the zone. So you're definitely not stressing out about managements, agents, people who are there, outfits, equipment, all those different stresses,
Totally. We were just talking about, like, before this episode started, like running Ethernet cables to our spaces, and like that task for me in my apartment took like 4 hours, but it was meditative. I was just like running this cable like all throughout all these rooms and around and up and down and over and over. And I don't ever have to do that work myself. So it's just like, this is
How's your roof
nice.
ceiling?
How is it?
Yeah, we didn't even talk
from the
about
floods?
Hurricane Ida.
Yeah.
I haven't even spoken to you since you floated away, dude. Are you on a boat
we
right
haven't
now?
checked in on you, Jules.
Yeah, dude, I'm in my canoe.
How's your hospital stay?
Pretty fine, dude. Okay. Hook me up to the IV drip, dude. I feel fine.
There you go.
So talk to us. This is the funniest thing about news is that they need to sell a story, and so they will give you like the most sensationalized version of something. What was it like in New York from your like obviously each person's perspective is different because their reality is different, but from your position, what was
like
New York like?
A week before the big hurricane came, we had like a smaller version of that same hurricane, and it kind of made some water damage in our personal apartment complex. And so we had started developing some drips in our apartment, very small ones. We were like, oh man, they got to come fix this. So we're telling them, come fix this. And outside in our hallway, where our apartment, in like right outside of our door, it was getting like a little bit more severe. And so we put all these pots out there and was catching this water. And it lasted like a week of just kind of like shitty dripping happening. And nobody came and did anything. And, it was just like, okay, cool, like nothing's going to happen. And then the night, which I think was like a week ago or something, it just dumped so hard, dude. And Steph and I were sitting here watching like a Game of Thrones episode or something like that, and just heard, whoa, dude, like rumbled through the whole entire apartment. I got out, and we realized that the ceiling had just fallen completely out in our hallway, just like right outside our door, and just like the whole ceiling it just collapsed on itself. And I was like, oh man, this is crazy. We were like sending pictures to you guys and to friends and stuff like that. Like, this is nuts, man. Like, this is going crazy. Little did I know, like 150 feet away, it was like 5 feet deep on the street.
Wow.
And like businesses were flipped upside down. Wow. People's houses, like there was a couple girls over here, friends of Steph's the other night that were, they were talking about how one of them was talking about how she was just sitting in her up like first floor apartment, and she has a basement down below that has her bedroom and all of her things in it. So like the upstairs is where she walks into, and it's basically just like her living room, and then downstairs is where all of her stuff is. Mm-hmm. And she was up there just watching TV, not even thinking about anything. She was like, oh, rainy day, like just gonna stay in. Everybody knew it was raining super hard because you could just like physically hear this rain. And she went downstairs to just go to bed, and like as she got to the bottom step, she realized there was like 8 inches of water down there, and it was just like her laptop was underneath it, her clothes, her boxes, her every single thing she owned. It was just, and insurance is too overwhelmed. They're not even covering anything. Like people are figuring out what to do. Landlords and owners of buildings and management companies are kind of just like at a loss. It's all subject to like different places. Fortunately, we didn't have that big of an issue with our spot. To us, it was like, this is shitty. Like, let's get this fixed. And they were pretty poor about coming and fixing it. But other people got it so much worse. Mm-hmm. Like businesses just were devastated, like right down the road from us. It was kind of funny because Stephanie made homemade brownies, and I was so pumped, but we didn't have any ice cream. And I was like, dude,
what are you doing?
I can't eat fucking brownies.
Kill yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to. But we had this flood coming in. Like the ceiling had dropped out at this point, and I was like,
did you go get some ice cream? Did you get some Dairy Queen?
Yeah.
Just kayak to the local Lucerne station. Savage.
I lost my rain boots that I brought to Alaska with me when we went out, so I just wore my tennis shoes. Steph gave me a rain jacket, and I went out, and there were 2 girls coming in because they had gotten trapped. People were trapped like all throughout the city, everywhere. Like they couldn't get cars. If they could get a car, it was like $350 to take them like 2 miles. It was insane. So the two of the girls that live in the building coming home just drenched because they weren't prepared for it. And I was meeting them at the entrance, and they were like, what are you doing? I had my rain jacket on. I was like, my roommate made brownies. I gotta get some vanilla ice cream. They were like, "Don't do that."
We'll
And I
go
was
out
like,
there. You're like,
"I have to."
yeah.
So I went out, got chicken Caesar.
And then right then, Julian pulls out of his jacket 2 windshield wipers. He goes, "I'm prepared.
Yeah, exactly.
I've grown
Exactly.
to
I've grown up
It was
now. I know."
it was crazy. But the craziest thing was that the next day, people's places were flipped upside down. But it was like a beautiful day. The birds were chirping. Like it was total like blue skies. Everything was great, and like somehow, like our subway system got like our station went like viral on like whatever social media platform it went viral on, because it was just flooding completely, like completely submerged. And the next day, like I took the subway. I was like, how the fuck did anybody get anything done down here? And like the streets were
Superheroes.
pretty clear. I was like, man, real testament to the people that are doing the manual labor out here, man. Like, that is crazy work. And we're
just the engineering that would go behind setting up a city like that. Like the forward thinking. It's like, well, we're probably going to get rain at some point, and this should all like flow
somewhere.
Yeah.
Like what LA didn't do.
Just like what I wouldn't do, right? Like if I was in charge of just putting anything together, I'd be like, oh, damn it. I forgot about fire.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's Well, it's wild because my brother Gabe lives in Tahoe, and like he's dealing with the fires there. He's been evacuated from his house. On this side of the country, like we're getting flooded out. So it's just a weird family text thread going on right now,
Flood versus rain versus fire.
It's unfortunately,
it's super weird.
Gonna be.
But there's a lot of heroes out there, coming in the clutch and volunteering and making it happen for people, including my last How Good's This.
Oh, bring it on, baby. I love
Come on.
How
You ready for this?
Yeah.
The transitions. I'm going to start getting better at these transitions.
You should have a push button that's just like,
here it comes. Yeah, another savior, another hero, good kid. Name's Tommy Marcus. Not sure if you guys are familiar with him. He goes by Quentin Quarantino on Instagram and these other social media platforms. Okay. He started this social media platform during quarantine, as he would, Quentin Quarantino. Little joke. He was posting like memes and just doing like humor posts, just being silly. And then when he was developing followers and getting kind of he was getting some traction with all this stuff because it was silly. And then once things started going bad in Afghanistan, he made a GoFundMe campaign, and through his page raised over $6 million in one day.
Wow!
To like go out to relief, to like relieve a lot of these people, to bring them out and to get like planes to get out there to help them out. And it's been up now since then. And it's at like $7.3 million now.
Good
on
him.
Accessible.
That's amazing.
And he just like did it kind of as like, he had no idea. He didn't know what was going to happen. Like it totally took him from being like a kind of like silly humorist on Instagram to being like responsible for like the Instagram turned into like a social commentary piece. And he was just like became so much more than he kind of anticipated. And so, it's pretty big. It's called Fly Away, Emergency Afghan Rescue Mission.
Way to go. Way to go, Tommy Marcus.
With what is it? Quentin Quarantino?
Quentin Quarantino.
Okay. Quentin Quarantino. Way to go, man. There was another, there's an Australian comedian who got famous, like kind of taking the piss out of supermodels and like Instagram influencers. She would take a video or a photo of, Khloe Kardashian posing in the mirror, and then she would redo it herself. But, she's like a funny physical comedian, so she's not a supermodel at any rate.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of taking the piss out of it.
She's funny, though.
I forget her name, but during the Australian fires, she put together a GoFundMe, and like all the Kardashian girls retweeted it. Dude, she raised like $40 million or something obscene. Not obscene, great, right? That's the coolest shadow cast by the internet. Of all the things that the internet has brought us, that has separated us,
right?
One of the coolest things that it has done
Solidarity
is allowed us the capability of like legitimately changing people's lives.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like that. And like giving you the access to help, where I think the lack of information is what pauses a lot of people on wanting to help certain causes, is the lack of accessibility, where on a platform like that, where it's like, just click it and you're all set. Click it and donate, like it's so easy and streamlined.
It used to be like telethons. You remember back in the day when PBS would like do their telethon and be like, oh no, like Arthur's not going to be on this week because it's just a bunch of old people talking on the phone. But they literally have to pick up the phone.
We know you hate that.
Hey,
that was a good drop.
Hey,
dude. Arthur's not going to be on because that
was my cartoon growing up. Like we had 2, 4, 6, and 7, and it was either
News or Arthur
2020 or Arthur.
Or MASH.
Or MASH, and I couldn't watch MASH. Nothing on 2, 4, and 6 after 4 p.m. I was allowed to watch.
I just remember you said turn that shit off. I heard that song. Like I think it's probably a great show, but I just couldn't handle it.
Well, same with Seinfeld back when I was young was so lame to me. Like I just didn't get the humor.
It's like, that's a sick bass line now.
I would turn it off. No questions asked. But nowadays, like Seinfeld's some of the funniest.
Some brilliant show.
Hilarious.
Obviously.
It's I'm not always too thrilled about things that are trending in the world, but when they're like this, man, it's like, God, that's the best, man. Like the psychology behind trend is such an interesting thing. And when it comes in a good way and it happens for a good purpose, it's just like, yes, man, please more of this, man, more of this. Like no more of Kimi Kardashian's butt cheeks. Like I don't care about that at all. There's so much shit that's such garbage to look at. But it's been great, man, to like go on these good news forums and just like get inundated with like positive stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just like looking at cool stuff and like, ooh, what can we talk about on the podcast today?
That's
like,
amazing.
What's good? What's gonna like, and it makes it affects my mood. It makes me feel good. Well, it's like, oh, this is cool.
I think about that a lot because I think naturally humans have a tendency towards, I think it's probably a defense mechanism where we're looking out for danger. We're looking out for the things that might be our demise. I think that's why sensationalized news is what it is because we are naturally inclined to look at the car wreck, right? It's harder for us to sit at a sunset and just like think about positive things than it is for us to argue about, who's the president. And I think that that's a human instinct for us to attempt to try and prepare for the worst, right? Like that's our fight or flight mechanism coming in and being like, well, you need to worry about this, that, and the other. And so that lends itself towards, like, God, every time I turn on Netflix, like every single documentary is about somebody who got murdered back, or the mafia or something. I don't think about it enough of how that affects me, right? Because I'm just like, I think I'm so desensitized to it. I'm just a brick wall. Like, I'll watch the Night Stalker documentary.
Yeah.
Like the most savage human ever. I'm just going to watch his life story and just like all the terrible things that he did. I'm just going to go right before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And then think
and reduce it to being like, I'm fascinated rather than it's actually messing your brain up.
The last 3 or 4 days, I've just been watching Parts Unknown. Anthony Bourdain, like one episode before I go to bed, and my mood, like I definitely understand how much those things can affect my mood, and it goes back to, I grew up in the church with Bible verses, and the one that always stuck with me is whatever is good, whatever is righteous, whatever is holy, think about those things. Now that's like a super churched up way to say you are what you eat. Literally, like what you ingest, the things that you spend your time and spend your energy orbiting around, consuming, matters.
Totally.
And I don't think about it enough. Like I don't take the time to be like, okay, is this like actually going to benefit my mood? Is this going to bless me, or is this going to chuck me in a ditch and keep me there?
Yeah. And it's hard to be mindful, man, when there's like, your devices as well as your TVs, as well as your like smart house is just like targeting what you like based on what you've told it you like.
See, but
You
this
know?
Well, just inherent cynicism too. I mean, I think
Right.
those tragedies make you, in a very selfish way, but very human way, better about your plight.
cynicism
ways.
too. Cynicism too. That's another one I need to look out for as well. Like,
You're a pretty positive guy. You don't really talk shit.
that's probably happened since people started caring about my music. I don't talk shit about people because I've two reasons. One, because I'm constantly terrified of what people are saying when I'm not around.
It's not good.
I know. Secondly, I don't want people's reflection of me being, oh yeah, well that guy just talks shit about everybody.
Totally.
So I'm very careful about that. It's not because I don't have.
Of course not. But being conscious of that's very important. I mean, that was one of my New Year's resolutions a couple of years ago. Was like, just don't say it. Think about it. Sure, it is what it is. But you don't need to spew that garbage into other people's ears.
Totally.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I think whether you know it or not, I think it affects the way you interact with people. I want someone.
It made me feel negative too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm just talking shit.
Right.
I'm not doing anything to affect this person positively. I'm not affecting myself positively. I'm just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely sometimes it's fun. I think there's like a line that can be crossed.
Like just riffing and then just straight up talking shit.
Exactly. Like if you're riffing about Dimebag Darrell, not Dimebag Darrell. That's fucking, sorry.
Rest in peace.
Fucking rest in peace. Like DDP.
Yeah.
If you're just riffing about just talking shit about DDP, I don't know DDP. I hold no effect on DDP, right? But there are people that if I was talking shit about them, there's a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it means more.
It's more personal.
It's fun to talk shit about Joe Biden or Donald Trump or George Bush, like these people that are so they're not even their personality is not even connected to a human in my orbit.
Yeah.
Although it does
so
matter,
far removed. Yeah.
But they're almost like Superman or like a comic character, right? So it's fun to toss shit at those type of people.
Yeah.
Some of the best advice I got well into my 20s was the reason why you don't lie is not the reason why it's wrong is because if you lie to people, you're constantly thinking that everybody's lying at you, lying to you. And it's like, oh my God, that's so true, right? If you talk shit about people when they're not around, you're constantly going to think that everybody talks shit about you when you're not there.
Yeah.
And that's not a good way to interact in a social situation at all.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's debilitating.
It is.
Yeah. It's behavioral. And that's why people that are just inherently pissed and frustrated by life are constantly running into shitty situations because it's just change your attitude first and foremost and then see what happens. And I think just in the talking shit camp, it's a director I worked with a long time ago told me I just don't I talk a lot of shit, but I won't ever say something I won't say to somebody's face. And it's just oh, that's nice to think about. If I can, I mean, I don't want to talk shit at all, really, but I don't want to actually say things. And I'm guilty of it too. I fucking, whatever, I do whatever I do wrong. I don't think I'm awful with it, but
we all are.
Yeah, totally. But I think, when I start down that avenue, to be conscious of would I say this to this person? And just to have that thought cross through my brain while I'm in that conversation is really helpful because then it's just if the answer is no, it's just then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's a good little stop sign you have for yourself.
Taz had this super cool quote the other day she put on her Instagram. I think it's a Eleanor Roosevelt quote. And I'm going to butcher it, but essentially it's dull people talk about other people, smart people talk about ideas.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it was I like that. I like talking and discussing ideas or discussing just perspectives. But when it gets into talking about other humans in a ill light, it makes me hurt. I think you do at times. It's okay to discuss people, right? Because it comes from a level of caring, I think, to a degree. But I never leave those type of situations being solved it.
Yeah.
You don't. You never leave those type of scenarios where you're
yeah.
oh man, I really did some good work here.
Well, it's like you were saying, with the negative content or something that you're watching, opposed to and that's something you can just binge for a few hours, opposed to like taking in the sunset and enjoying something beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't go around just like complimenting people all the time or saying like, great job. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for this. Like encouraging and reinforcing positivity in a lot of people. It's like you're consciously doing that, but it's like an effort and you have to think about doing that, where just making fun of someone, it comes so naturally. It's just sad.
Yeah.
Where do you think that like I think
insecurities?
Yeah,
I think so. I think that's what it would come from for me, for at least part of it, is insecurities. So you're like, I'm going to put that pain on them. I'm putting pain away from me. I'm reassuring myself because they're less than I am right now, which is terrible.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's a really good point. It's like you're trying to bring people down to the way you're feeling versus like, no, I'm going to try to get up there.
I'm trying to get up there with them. I'm going to try to learn from them.
And even better, I'm going to try to elevate myself and bring you with me.
Exactly.
Like that's
talk about tasks, talk about goals, talk about good positive things.
Yeah.
Learn something.
Yeah.
But you just dismiss it because it's easier.
Right. Too. I think
you
a lot
will
of
stuff into the world too. You will that stuff
for sure
through your your conversations about it.
People need to have more compliment circles, I think. Yeah, just get with your friends and just compliment each other. You don't have to do it on Thanksgiving. Like, just fucking do it.
We just need to start having a federal ration of MDMA is what we need to do. Like, every year you can... I mean, think about it, right? Like, no, I'm being honest. I'm being serious. Like, every year we have a well-regulated hunting season where you get one deer. Now, some people go out and they shoot more than one deer, but nobody's going out and shooting 5 deer a day. Like, nobody's doing it, right? The federal government, it's probably actually state government that's regulating it really well, but they do a pretty damn good job. We got Forest Service agents out there who are regulating hunters, and I think you would ask most hunters, the United States does a pretty damn good job of making sure that all of the natural game animals in America are culled and utilized in the right capacity.
Some people probably hate it.
I'm sure there are, of course, but as an outlier, I don't go, hey,
you're saying they're doing a good job of regulating it.
I'm saying they're doing
people
a pretty,
not like mowing down AR-15 cow.
Right. I mean, yeah, if there was, there's like probably a pig problem in Texas, right? But
yeah, the fucking governor.
But ultimately,
nice, dude.
Ultimately, like that's the government program that's well regulated.
Sure.
Pretty good as an outlier.
There should be one as MDMA.
There should be a one for all drugs.
For all drugs. The
like,
purge.
What we've been trying to do for the last 30 years is so ludicrous and so dumb, and we are so much farther away from positive drug culture in America. We've had more opiate overdoses in the last 10 years than in the previous 100. We're losing the war. We've lost the war. The drug war has been lost. Mexico is demolished because of American drug habit. And if you legalized it and regulated it and utilized it as a ration-based situation, okay, you want to apply for a license to take heroin? Okay. Look, you're going to take heroin that's been manufactured responsibly by agents that do so responsibly, and you're only going to get so much. And listen, if you go out hunting with your buddies and you're not safe and you shoot somebody, sorry. It's like, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Right? If you utilize these drugs negatively after we've regulated them,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. But like, compliment circle, back to it.
Yeah.
If you had a well-rationed organization where every, like, instead of dumb pagan holidays like Christmas, you're like, hey, let's get a potluck together. We're all going to take a little bit of this, and we're going to just say nice things about each other.
That sounds like a lovely time.
Well, I think we're already like doing that within our circle, and I think we just need to expand that outwardly by like being examples of that on this, and saying like, having those moments and being and utilizing this. And that's what's cool about kind of redirecting this podcast towards like, how good's this? Like, what is how good's this? It's what's good. What's good? These things are good. This is like what we're positive about. This is what we're happy about. And we can be the examples for that. For if it's only 10 people listening, fuck, man, at least it's 10 people listening. If it grows and becomes much more people, fuck, dude, like everybody needs to listen to how good's this news, you know? And depending on the way that we're transmitting that will, you know, effectively get into the brains of other people. And if we can do anything to impact somebody's day or make them smile, which we already are, by the way, and I'm not like tooting our horn or saying that like we're awesome because of that. I think it's just because that's the avenue we're trying to take with this thing. And that makes this feel valuable to me moving forward. If we can frame it that way, and ultimately that's what we're going to do. And we can keep having those conversations, you know, about fucking having compliment circles. Maybe we can even do, maybe we just do an episode where we do MDMA and just have a compliment circle.
Oh my
Who
God.
knows? Like,
I don't know about that.
I don't either, but we can try.
Not whilst
see what happens.
Not whilst it's still prohibited.
I mean, I've been on many drugs during many of these episodes.
Yeah,
Tylenol doesn't
Steve's
count.
just been ripping.
Yeah,
Steve's
now that
been
they've
ripping.
got me, forced me on camera, I'm gonna have to lower my dosages.
Yeah, and I don't mean to get like all like highfalutin on it and be like, oh, we're doing something so noble, because like ultimately we're just chatting with our best friends, like we're just having a good time and shooting the shit. But like, it can be something more than that, you know, and,
Totally.
and it should be something more than that. And
How
so I
good's
think,
this?
how good's this, you know,
Fucking
like being able
3, 2, 1. How good
to.
is this?
This.
Nice.
Are we gonna do that every time?
Absolutely, dude. I'd say we put it at the end of every episode from here on out.
Highfalutin.
Highfalutin, dude.
Highfalutin.
Great
You guys like that
word,
word
baby
choice?
Yeah,
boy.
dude. Highfalutin corn syrup.
Chucking
I
out
learned it.
syllables, dude. Spray us. Just shout out to Dave Matthews Band
Shout out to Dave Matthews Band.
Squad.
Shout out to you guys, man. You guys are my best friends, and I fucking love you guys. Compliment.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Jules.
Sweet
You
episode,
guys are
dude. Aight.
All right, later, boys.
Oh, Boo Boo, did you just make it to the end of the video? Yes, you did. Do you want to see more videos just like this one? Do you?
Well, then head over to patreon.com/live at the lodge, where you can support the How Good's This podcast, as well as the entire Live at the Lodge family.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to get exclusive merch, personalized shout out videos. Me and Jules, we're going to show up at your house and baptize your nephew, huh? Check it out. Patreon.com/live at the lodge.